Officials stopped in New Orleans today and will visit other parts of the state.
Sabrina Wilson shows us why they came.
As Ukraine continues to defend itself against Russia, at Tulane University, 3 Ukrainian officials. The purpose of their visit to New Orleans multifold.
We came first to say thank you to all American people, especially in the great state of Louisiana.
And to underscore the need for continued U.S. support.
Explaining our fight for the democracy.
David Arakhamia is a majority leader in the Ukrainian parliament. He says they also have another message.
Not many people, surprisingly, on the street know that most of the money that is being allocated to Ukraine is being spent within the U.S. They create local jobs, pay local taxes, and boost the local production in the defense industry. So we're trying to explain this.
War is never pretty.
Everybody has on their cell phone special application with an air siren alarm, and sometimes we have like 5 or 6. I have 6 kids. I live in Kiev. Whenever they go to school, like usually 3-4 times, they have alarm. They go to the shelter.
And in some areas of Ukraine,
we find torture cells in every deoccupied region.
Still, as a member of Ukraine's parliament, she says U.S. Patriot missiles have helped.
Life in Kiev is more or less okay, so you are able to live your life, to go to work without running to a shelter every night. But it's not the same for the eastern parts of Ukraine, because we don't have enough of the Patriots to cover entire country.
Vitaly Tarasuk is Consul General of Ukraine for the Southwest and is from Kyiv.
And yes, people are dying, but for Ukraine, this is a war of survival. Because if we don't fight, we stop to exist.
So this delegation was put together by the Honorary Consulate of Ukraine, along with Geno Inc. and other local organizations, to continue to get the message out about how important support for Ukraine is.
But some in the U.S. Congress oppose more funding for Ukraine.
We are concerned, and we are scared that Ukraine becomes a more political issue.
And the Ukrainians are also getting help from the Port of New Orleans and the Port of South Louisiana.
The infrastructure is being destroyed. So we have to reroute a lot of our cargo using the Danube River, and we need the experience of the ports of Louisiana.
They're also learning rebuilding lessons from Hurricane Katrina.
Learn from your experience, learn from your mistakes.
And as for the war, they're convinced Ukraine will win.
Everyone is working on victory.
One of the visiting Ukraine parliament members said direct budget support from the U.S. is also helping to pay salaries for doctors and teachers. But some Republicans on Capitol Hill say they will not support additional aid for Ukraine unless it is paired with border security measures. The Ukrainian delegation also plans to stop in Baton Rouge and Shreveport before heading to Dallas. Meg.